Hello, everyone. Good morning, y'all. How's everybody doing this morning? I guess it's still morning. Yeah, it's still 11 o'clock for me, so it's still morning Central Time. It's lunchtime Eastern Time, which is fine. You guys can hear me okay, right? Want to make sure y'all can hear me. So if I can get a mic check. Yep, awesome, awesome, awesome. Sweet. Thank you, Danny, always for the gifts. I appreciate it. Thank you for the perfumes, the friendships, the finger hearts, all that stuff. I appreciate it. So, y'all are asking, why am I on early this morning? Really not early, but what I want to start doing, I mentioned this yesterday in my video. I want to start doing 2 live streams today. One either between 9 a.m. and noon, so I can get an update for people out that don't watch the streams in the afternoons. So there's gonna start is on the days that I'm able to and we don't have a lot going on. I'm gonna start getting my videos out no later than 9. That's how I had my video out this morning. And then trying to get a live stream in before like things get going, like before, not like as they're happening, like before. So we'll probably start having some morning time streams on days where I'm able to do that, which mostly should be pretty much every day going forward. And then on top of that, we'll have live stream coverage the days that we need to have it. We will have coverage this afternoon, so you guys will see me a second time today. We'll probably spend about an hour-ish, hour and a half-ish, kind of see where the conversation goes, talk about some things, weather-related, all that stuff, this morning, and then we'll come back for coverage later on this afternoon. Meg, so far, if you are in here for my weather team, you are the only one that I have seen in here so far, so I'm kind of shocked a little bit. I'm doing a surprise stream to see how many people on the team come in here, so interestingly enough, you're in here, which I appreciate it if you are still in here. But yeah, some people on the team don't have notifications on, which is surprising. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. It'll be interesting. Yeah, buddy, there's no severe weather. That's crazy. That's crazy because there is severe weather today. That's wild. I don't know where that information came from, but yeah, okay. Anyways, welcome guys to the stream. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful, wonderful morning. So, yeah. All right, let's go into the forecast here and kind of talk about what we're going to be seeing today. We do have some ongoing showers and thunderstorms this morning across portions of North and South Dakota. Happy Tuesday to you, Ashley, as well. Hope you are doing well. Yeah, so this is going to be the main theme. If you guys have been watching the videos the last couple days, I've talked about this area right here being the main area for severe weather really over the next couple of weeks. That's where we're going to see it at. We're ridged out down here on the bottom. There will be some severe weather associated with our little tropical system down here, or even really a tropical system with an upper level low that's off the coast here, kind of swinging some moisture in. So there will be a low end chance for some damaging winds back in the southeast today. So just be mindful of that. I'm going to take care of this person because they are rude as hell. You can go to another live stream, bud. Anyways, yep, we love that. Already starting the day out great. Love it. Yeah, guys, if you're going to come in and be rude, you're going to get yeeted. So, yeah. Anyways, as I was saying, marginal risk and slight risk today across the plains here. I wouldn't be shocked right now. I don't think they'll do it on the next update. We'll get a new SPC Outlook update in about 26-ish minutes. They could do a level 3 enhanced risk upgrade. We haven't had an enhanced risk in a couple days. Not saying that's, the reason why they issue them. But it would be a damaging wind threat today. The most threat is going to be damaging winds today. We'll have a hail threat. We'll have a pretty decent tornado risk today. A widespread tornado risk. It's a small scale risk zone, but it's widespread. So we could see a couple tornadoes today across portions of the Dakotas, Minnesota. The thing with today, guys, and that's why I'm on here a little bit earlier today than what I typically do, is we're not going to see a lot of our severe weather until tonight. Like, this is going to be another overnight event. So we're talking storms probably won't initiate across the Dakotas here until probably 6 or 7 o'clock tonight, and then they'll go through the overnight hours. So this is going to be an overnight event today. Tomorrow's will probably be an overnight event as well. That's typically what happens during the summertime. A lot of these troughs don't eject, and the timing of our ingredients in the atmosphere don't typically come together until later in the afternoon hour. So I will hop over here to the Storm Prediction Center and show you guys what we are looking at here for today. Let's pop this up. Here we go. And here's our risk zone as of now. This is going to update in about 25 minutes, so we'll stay on here till it updates. We'll talk. But right now, like I said, level 1 out of 5 marginal risk back down here into the lovely, sweet old southeast coastline. This is going to be 4 damaging winds today. There we go. I am losing my mind today. Bear with me, guys, for just a second as I have technical difficulties, as I typically do most of the times. That is not what I wanted to do. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. My pen never wants to work when I want it to work. Maybe. 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 There we go. Let's see if it works now. There we go. All right, as I was saying, marginal risk back down here into the southeast coastline. This is going to be for damaging winds up to about 60 miles per hour. Pretty big marginal risk outside here in the plains, the Midwest, the upper high plains. This is going to be for damaging winds up to about 70 miles per hour. In the marginal risk, could see 60 to 70, some small hail, and then an isolated tornado risk. This is our main region right here from Billings, Montana, up through northern portions of Wyoming into South Dakota, North Dakota, and Minnesota for damaging winds up to 90 miles per hour. So that hatched wind threats, I'll pull that up here so you guys can see that hatched wind threat here. We could see winds exceed 75 miles per hour. We actually had an 80 mile an hour destructive wind warning last night in Wichita, Kansas off a outflow boundary that came through. Definitely was not expecting that down there, and they definitely saw some damaging winds down there in Wichita last night for sure. But we'll be experiencing this up here today in the plains. Timing, we'll get to all that here in a minute. The hail threat is also hatched today. Look at this tornado risk, guys. It is a pretty widespread 2% tor risk. Now, you're looking at this and you're like, oh, it's only a 2% tornado risk. I'll be fine. It's not that big of a deal. No, this is a pretty widespread 2% tor. So I wouldn't be shocked to see SPC upgrade a 5% tor, maybe somewhere in this catty corner here through the evening hours. We'll see what they do on this update in about 20 minutes or, the updates after that. Sometimes SPC will kind of wait last minute to pull the plug on an upgraded tor risk. It's just SPC. It's how they do things. It just depends on model runs, all that stuff, etc. So, but I wouldn't be shocked to see a 5% be, introduced here. We'll see what they do in the future updates here, but this is a pretty widespread 2% tor. This basically goes from western Wisconsin all the way back into Montana and then down towards Des Moines, Iowa. So I feel for you guys in Iowa. You guys just can't catch a break in terms of that severe weather forecast in general. We're going to see a pretty active pattern for the next couple of weeks here as we start to see that ridging really start to set up. So get used to it here in the plains. It's not going anywhere. We're kind of stuck with it. But like I said, tornado risk, damaging wind threat, and hail threat are all there for today. We get to tomorrow's forecast, and it doesn't move much. Yeah, it doesn't move much. So we've got another marginal and a slight risk again from UP Michigan all the way back down into Nebraska and portions of Kansas here, where we'll see that boundary in place again for tomorrow. The threat for tornadoes will mostly be Wisconsin, Minneapolis, Minnesota through northern Wisconsin up to UP Michigan. You never can rule out an isolated tornado risk. We'll see what SPC does with their update today, again with the day 2 outlook update. Wind threat at 15 and 5 and hail threat at 5. So tomorrow is not, as of right now, as big as today is in terms of like widespreadivity or like the hatched regions, but both days are pretty decent in terms of there being a risk zone, so we'll be watching it. It's not by far means impressive or anything, but there is the threat, so we need to be weather aware. We need to be watching very closely. I wonder what the new HER will show. What do you mean, like the new hourly run or like the new AI one? Because we are getting a new HER run eventually introduced to use at some point. It's going to be an AI HER run, which will be pretty cool, kind of like the Euro AI. Oh, hourly. Yeah. That's what I was looking at right now. So this is the 15Z that's coming in right now. Most of these storms that you're seeing right now are going to fizzle out. They'll kind of fall apart. This is by 4 p.m. We're just starting to get some storms going here. Most of these will be probably still about sub-severe, maybe some wind, maybe some hail. Most of these storms are not going to initiate until probably around 7, 8 o'clock tonight. So that's fine with me. It gives us, we don't have to be on until a little bit later, but regardless of that, you need to be weather aware. We'll take a look at, I want to go back to the 14Z just here briefly because it kind of gives us an idea of what today's going to look like. Most of these storms, don't really initiate until about 11 p.m. midnight tonight. And that's going to be, the problem is people are going to be sleeping. There's going to be, people need to have alerts on their phones. We got a couple supercells trying to get going here in the Dakotas around 11 p.m. midnight. So like I said, we probably won't start live coverage tonight until probably around 7 or 8 p.m. Maybe a little bit later than that. Just depends on when things happen. If you're in Minnesota and in Iowa and you're like, why am I in a risk zone? Where are my storms at? They're overnight. Most of these storms will be overnight tonight for a lot of people. So like I said, if you are in these risk zones tonight, you need to make sure you're going to bed with those notifications on, know what to do when you get a warning. I do want to check out some other model runs to see if we've got any discrepancy here. And yeah, so, the NAM is, I believe, showing a capped, or not the NAM, the HER was showing a little bit more of a capped environment in Minnesota today. The NAM does not. The NAM's got a cluster of storms around 6 to 7 p.m. tonight. We got a couple supercells in the NAM, which is actually kind of intriguing there because the NAM doesn't typically go with discrete modes very well. It typically goes more in terms of linear. So that's quite interesting to kind of note. But I don't think really any of our model runs know what's going to happen tonight. And then you can see tomorrow, they can see another line of storms pushing through. So really the next 48 hours, guys, if you are in these risk zones up here in the Dakotas, the Minnesota area, Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, you need to just pay attention, to the fact that you're in a risk zone and not necessarily just go off of model runs, because when we've got these troughs that are riding over top of our, our heat domes, our ridges, which is down in the plains right now in the Ohio Valley, it's very, very hard to pinpoint what mode the storms were going to be in until they just about initiate, or like what the environment's going to do. We know the dew points are high, and very, very high dew points. We know extreme instability is there. We've also got the tornado parameters will also be there today. So we know the setup is there for severe weather. It's just, is it going to initiate the way that models are showing it? And so, like last night, for instance, I did not expect there to be a destructive wind warning in Wichita, Kansas, and there was. Yeah. So you can't always go based off of model runs. You have to go based off of what the environment is giving you. And if we actually take a look, we'll go here to our Mesoanalysis briefly and just kind of look at our environment now compared to what the models are forecasting it as. And if we look at things right now, there is actually a boundary that's in place here. So I do think personally, giving what we're seeing right now with our actual real-time data coming in, I do think storms could probably initiate along that boundary later on this afternoon. It's kind of been left in place from the storms that came through this morning. So this will be interesting to watch. It's kind of cooled the temperatures down a little bit, those dew points up a little bit more. So that could allow for a more potential stable environment, but I do think the environment's going to come back in and we'll end up having the threat for all modes of severe weather later on this afternoon. Here is our surface-based CAPE values right now. Not a lot of instability because, like I said, we just had a line of storms come through, mostly on the sub-severe side of things, but that atmosphere should be able to recover pretty significantly once the sun comes out, the ground heats up, things start getting going again. This is the forecasted CAPE values here, and you'll see those CAPE values by the next 6 hours here really start to climb. And like I said, it's really going to help the mode tonight because we're not going to see storms initiate probably again until later on tonight. So that's why, we're going to have some pretty decent chances of seeing some air mass recovery here in terms of what things are looking at. Let me look at our 500 millibar analysis here. And yeah, you can see there is a little shortwave impulse in here that's allowing for that leftover remnant severe weather that came through last night through this morning. I believe we're going to see, let me double check here. We should see another impulse wave come through later on tonight. Yeah, it's going to be coming off the Rockies there. So, or off the Rockies and in a minute, Montana. I cannot talk for the love of all that's holy. So, I'm worried about tomorrow. Yeah, I'm watching tomorrow too, Brian. It's going to be interesting, for that setup both today and tomorrow. I wouldn't even rule out a strong tornado today, given the environmental parameters that we have as well today. So I think both days are going to be quite interesting to watch. If we look at, the NAM and the HER like to overmix sometimes. Let me look at our WRAP soundings real quick here and see if we've got, let's see, dew points. Yeah, I mean, these dew points are just ridiculous. I mean, we're talking mid to upper 70s. You can actually see your surface low that is sitting over here in South Dakota. So kind of got a warm front draped. Actually, your warm front's going to be a little bit draped a little bit further to the north, clearly up here. You can see that higher concentration of dew points. So you've got a cold front, you've got a warm front. Storms will be able to initiate in the warm sector later on tonight. This is probably going to be, like I said, closer to midnight when these storms are really getting going and getting full force here. So like I said, if you live in the Dakotas, if you live in Minnesota, you live in Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, you need to have alerts turned on your phone tonight because we are expecting overnight severe weather more than evening severe weather, I would say. So most of these storms probably will not initiate until later on tonight once the environment is primed, because you can actually see those higher dew point concentrations don't really get fully intact until after, 6, 7, 8 p.m. tonight. So just kind of something to make note of here. Yeah, it is going to be humid. It's going to be gross. Let me take a look at these temps today, because right now we're in the 70s, and there it is. We go from the 60s and 70s to the 90s within a matter of like 3 hours. So talk about air mass recovery. You can see it in full force here happening. So I'm not worried about there not being fuel for thunderstorms today, because there definitely will be. You can actually see where that frontal zone is going to be draped at here again on our temperature chart, our temperature graph here, where we're going to be seeing that instability in place at. Let me look at let me check here and see something. Let's look at our instability. So this will be the wraps instability. I mean, yeah, we're going to have a lot of instability. We'll take a sounding here. I'm just curious. It's a wind and hail sounding. Let me do... Took one back near the low here. That's a weird sound. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, we'll have to... Let's do it. Let's do it this way. Let's go right up on the low here. Mostly wind and hail. Because your dew point and your temps are so far apart. That tornado threat will increase through the evening hours as low-level jet increases as well. Let's take a look at our 850. Yeah, tough. I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute as well. Yeah, our low-level jet doesn't really creep in until the evening hours, which is interesting. We've got a low-level jet in place from this morning, but that's going to move its way out. I'm interested really in tomorrow's setup too now, just given the low-level jet that we're going to have. So this helps kind of amp up that tornado risk just a little bit more. Yeah, I'm going to talk about everybody else's weather here in just a minute. We're just kind of breaking down the severe weather setup here for today. Let's look at these tornado parameters too. Not very decent, which is good. I don't see a lot of... I mean, there's definitely going to be some spin here today, but it's not as impressive as it was looking the other day. Look back at the HER run here and see if it's got anything different. Yeah, so the HER's got right along the warm front. You can see higher tornado parameters here, where if any discrete storms can get going in this environment, we might have a pretty decent shot at a couple tornadoes today. I wonder, like I said, if SPC will go 5% or if they're going to wait maybe for the soundings to come in for this afternoon. Instability on the HER as well. We'll be moving in, so instability won't be an issue, and then those dew points won't be a problem as well. Here's the latest 15Z reflectivity run. Yeah, it's starting to kind of amp things up a little bit better now. I wouldn't say better. It's just a jar of messy convection. And so when you get messy convection, you're really not going to get too much of an organized tornado risk. So just something to kind of make note of here. Most of this will probably be in the form of damaging winds up to, 60, 70, maybe 75 plus miles per hour. The hail will be the main threat. And then, there's going to be a couple of isolated tornadoes in here. I'm just not really seeing a lot of organization with this. But like I said, models are models. Storms are going to do what storms want to do. And so sometimes you can get storms that overperform. We saw that happen last night. So as that run comes in, let's see what the Rufus is doing. Yeah, so even the Rufus is going linear, which is interesting as well. And it's not pushing this thing through until between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine, Meg. You're fine. So yeah, this would be an interesting scenario on the Rufus. And the Rufus typically goes more discrete. So the fact that it's going linear is interesting. And then tomorrow it does some really wonky things as well. So interesting. We'll see what SPC does in about 10 minutes. Kind of go from there. Georgia, low end threat for severe weather today. Depending on where you're at, to marginal risk for wind up to 60 miles per hour. Just be weather aware today. I'm not super concerned about you guys down there. All right, let me go back to radar here just briefly for a second. Yeah, there's not much going on. This complex of storms is already kind of falling apart here. So, all right, let's take a look at... let's go to our global model here. I believe GFS is just about here. All right, so here's our upper level global pattern right now. We'll talk about what we're seeing across the United States here. We've got a little bit of some jet stream winds left over here from that low that moved in from the Gulf a couple days ago. That low was still spinning over Texas, which was kind of shocking, the fact that it took forever to fizzle out. But we do have a ridge. You can see that in full swing here. High pressure system going to be dominating over much of the United States here over the next couple of days. We do have a dip in the jet stream here. If this was shifted a little bit further to the south, we'd be talking probably about more of a significant tornado event, but that's not the case today. So ridge underneath, troughing over top. This is going to be the pattern really for the next week, guys. We're going to be locked in on this pattern. If you're south of the bubble here, south of the little wave or the ripple here that I've made, you're mostly going to be locked in a heat dome with really not a lot of chances at general thunderstorms. It's just going to be dry. It's going to be humid. It's going to be gross the next couple of days, really the next week or two. So if you're under that ridge, don't really expect a lot of thunderstorms. Probably not going to happen. Most of that jet stream activity is going to be to the north of the ridge. So we're talking, like I said, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa is going to be where we see that severe weather at over the next couple of days here. That's what our troughing looks like as of right now. Going through Wednesday and Thursday here, there could be a little piece of energy here on Wednesday that may give us some type of low-end severe weather here, and then some type of low-end severe weather up here. I don't see like any widespread severe weather really through this week. It's just going to be, kind of in spurts where we get these marginal risk zones, these slight risk zones. So I'm not expecting, like I said, a full-blown tornado outbreak or anything too crazy right now. But maybe as we go towards next week, we might start to see things change potentially as of right now. We are also watching a little low pressure system down here near Florida as we progress through the rest of the week here. This will continue to kind of migitate or migrate to the west here, allowing for a very, very low chance. We're talking like 10-20% chance of some type of tropical system developing. I just highly doubt it'll do anything because of the shear down there and the high pressure down there. And then going into the weekend, we could still see a cold front kind of hanging around here on Friday. Not expecting too much in terms of severe weather. I want to start to watch this. This is going to be the big thing to watch toward the weekend here. As we see that high pressure, we go from basically that heat dome being pretty strong up in the Midwest here and then kind of weakening as we get closer to Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And then we start to introduce a new pattern. And I'm really, really watching next week very, very closely. It looks to be that our hottest temperatures next week are going to be kind of in this corridor kind of once again. So the same areas that are almost getting it this week, except it's going to shift back to the west a little bit. And then we start to get this troughing pattern. And what happens when we get this troughing pattern is when you typically start to see those MCSs, those big windbag events. It doesn't, it's not guaranteed to happen in every time. But over top of that ridge, you're going to see severe weather happen, whether it be in the form of damaging winds, hail. You can get some tornadoes, but I want to start to see if this jet stream is going to intensify, especially as we go toward the first week of August, and the models do start to signal that. And once we start to get locked in, and this would be, like I said, the very first week of August, as we get that high pressure kind of, sitting down here, that trough's going to scoot up. It's going to go over the ridge and it's going to go back down. And typically on that either east or northeast side of the ridge, you get severe weather. So I do think severe weather will return to the Ohio River Valley as we go towards next week, late next week potentially. And then it'll stay up here in the plains where we have that shear, but it may just be kind of in spurts once again. So it's not going to be like this mega trough coming in where we're watching for like a big outbreak or anything like that. Let me actually go and see what the European did last night, because that's what I'm curious on. I did not look at the Euro yet. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about right here. So this would be July 30th. This is about 8 days out, so it's not too far out to where we can talk about it here, but you have a high pressure kind of lifting up here to the north. You've got a trough over top of the ridge. This is where we see those derecho-like setups, is in this type of environment right here. So the area that I have circled, you've got northwesterly flow to southeasterly flow. This sets up that damaging wind throughout where you get these squall lines that'll kind of work their way southeast along the ridge. Storms love to hug high pressures. They love to sit over top of high pressures. So this thing is going to try and stay around that heat wherever that instability is at and kind of race through that high pressure. So you can sometimes get storms that kind of slip underneath of a ridge. It's very hard for that to happen, especially when you've got such a dry air mass. But we'll have a lot of humidity in place to maybe potentially allow for some general thunderstorms. So that's the European through next week. And then as we go into the first week of August, I just see this pattern trending, and then things get a little bit interesting past that point. So we'll have to kind of watch how that happens. But I will say, going toward the end of the month into the first week of August, we'll probably still be locked in this pattern. I don't see any like big tornado outbreaks or anything. I really don't even see the tropics right now doing much of anything, which is interesting too. Very, very slow start to our tropic season, as well as not severe weather season, but just in general hurricane season. So something to kind of make note of here. I'll also show this too. This is our temperature anomalies, kind of gives us an idea of what things are going to be doing. The oranges and the dark reds here are going to be those above average temps. The blue and the purples are going to be below average temperatures. And what we typically want to see is, a contrast between blue and red there to get, some type of severe weather. Look at this cold air mass on the Euro going into the first week of August here. I mean, this is going to be about 20 degrees below average up here in Canada. So that'll be interesting for them to see up there. If you got anybody that watches in Canada, that would be for you guys up there. But we're going to be locked in this pattern, and we might, like I said, see, some troughing return as we go toward the first week of August. So, yeah. Could the Northeast get those derecho setups? I mean, it's possible. It's this time of the year. So most of the time when we get those derecho setups, those big wind events that cause the 80 to 100 plus mile an hour wind events, those typically like to happen toward the end of July, beginning of August. So it's not unheard of to see that. It's actually pretty normal that it happens. We typically get 1 or 2 of these a year. We've already had one back in the Dakotas a couple weeks ago that caused a 133 mile an hour wind gust and an EF3 tornado. So you can get that stuff to happen this time of the year, especially when these ridges set up. So it will be quite interesting to watch our global pattern set up. I believe this is going to be the 06Z from this morning. Let me see if it's... Let's see here. If you were in the West Pacific, so California, for instance, because I just saw a question on that, you guys will be below average. I've been talking about that. When I say below average, about 15 to 10 degrees below what you typically are this time of the year. So we're probably going to see temps in the 70s, the 80s, not extremely too hot. As those troughs move through, that's typically what you'll see is those cooler temperatures, I should say. As we've got those warmer contrasts back over here in the Midwest and the plains. So, like I said, there's a lot of things that go into these setups, but, it's that time of the year, like I said, where we're going to see, heat, extreme heat. So, buckle up, guys. Get ready for it. It's going to be gross. It's going to suck. It's just going to be gross. So, let's see here. Is it all of Iowa that needs to prepare for severe weather tonight? Not necessarily all of Iowa. I would say general thunderstorms for the southern portions of Iowa. From Des Moines up, you need to be weather aware. We're going to get a risk zone update here in approximately 4 minutes. So once that updates, we'll talk about it. Gonna go from there. If you guys do have questions, feel free to put them in chat. I'll try to answer them as much as I can. So... But yeah, the 6C GFS was even more interesting this morning, showing a little bit more troughing in the Ohio River Valley, the Midwest there. What's really interesting is the GFS was trying to pull this, and I'm going to wait to see if the 12Z does it, that's updating right now. But as we went into the first official first whole week of August, that ridge breaks down on the GFS, and it pulls this troughing pattern up and over, and this would result in pretty significant severe weather in the form of damaging winds, more than likely if this type of a pattern sets up. This is not what we want to see for severe weather. You have a high sitting in the middle with troughing over top. This would bring widespread severe weather, more than likely on that eastern side of that trough if this were to play out going into the first full week of August. So a little bit of a difference between our modeling between, the GFS and the Euro, which typically is going to happen that far out. When you're looking at a pattern over 10 days out, you're gonna notice that. But I'm curious to see if the GFS trends with the Euro or if the Euro trends with the GFS, because two big different patterns setting up. The European keeps the ridge locked in. The GFS just goes, we're gonna break this thing down and we're gonna get severe weather and cold air. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. We'll talk about it each day, kind of go from there. But this would put a very below average cold air. This would feel like fall. If the GFS were to verify over 300 hours out going into the second week of August, we would be talking about fall temperatures in the Midwest and Ohio Valley with the trough coming in. So when you got your trough with your winds coming down out of the northwest to the southeast, you're going to get cold air aloft pull down. And, then at this point, this is just way too far out. So we'll see what happens. It will be interesting to watch. It would be nice to get a heat wave and then get some cold air behind it. I'm going to be curious to see what the 12Z is going to do here in just a few minutes with this update. That will be interesting. Our GFS updates 4 times a day, every 6 hours. Let's see here. Yeah, you can already start to kind of see some breakdown of the high pressure here. So that will be interesting. Let's go back and see if SPC is updated. No, I do want to see if CSU is updated for today. Interesting. They pull a slight risk down in the southeast today on CSU, and then they keep the slight risk up here. I'm still waiting to see if we're going to get a 5% tour or not. That'll be also interesting. All right, so that's not loaded in yet. Also, talking about the tropics here for just a minute, I want to show you guys this. This is what we call dry air, and this basically is a model or a satellite that shows dry air aloft in the atmosphere as well as Saharan dust. And the reason why we're not getting any tropical weather right now is look off the coast of Texas. You got dry air. You got down here, you got dry air and wind shear in the Caribbean, and you got a lot of dry air in the MJ or the MDA, or I cannot talk today, our major development region. Where we typically see tropical waves. That I do, and I mentioned this in my video this morning, this was that little area that we were watching yesterday for tropical development. Only had a 10 to 20% chance of developing, didn't ever do anything, kind of fell apart. But what I want to watch going into the first week of August and second week of August tropical wise is this right here. You got an area, if this dust and dry air can move to the north, we might have an open door here for something to potentially kind of get going as these tropical waves introduce here. It's not the second wave that I'm watching the third wave going maybe into the second week of August. I know this is a little ways out, but we have to watch tropics far out. You guys know that. But as that wave, ejects here and we get a better look at this convection as it attempts to work its way west here, we might open the door for something. You can actually as well see, we've got a lot of activity even down here into the Pacific. So we'll see what happens. If you guys remember last year, kind of a little bit similar, a little bit of a slow start, and then the end of August, September, October got here, and we watched 2 major hurricanes do not too great things. So it only takes one storm to cause a significant catastrophic event. We've seen this year has been now officially characterized as the year of the floods. We've seen so many flooding events this year. There's so many areas that are just absolutely saturated with water that don't need it anymore. So if we get a hurricane or a tropical system come rolling in, it's not going to be good. So hopefully that does not happen and we don't have to worry about that. That would be interesting enough to say on that end of things. Do I have any questions on anything? Y'all got anything for me? I'm curious. If you guys are coming in the stream, welcome. I do appreciate you guys. Arizona monsoon. You guys should start to see your monsoon season here pretty soon as that troughing pattern gets going, especially into potentially next week here in the first week of August. But yes, we should start to see that. Will be very interesting. I missed most of it. Anything for Virginia? Virginia, as of right now, just going to be locked in that hot weather pattern. It's going to be humid and gross for most people. We may start to see a pattern shift toward the first week of August, but you think Wednesday we'll see an upgrade? Wednesday, as of right now, on SPC for tomorrow. We'll see. SPC is about to update here in just a minute for today. I think they keep it. I think they keep it at slight. I wouldn't be shocked to see an enhanced risk. I thought today might go enhanced, honestly. I was thinking they might add a level 3 enhanced risk in here for damaging winds, but we'll see. They may wait to do it till later on if they do it. This will update here in just a second. Oh, Dev, dude, thank you for the hot air balloon. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure you guys do follow my top gifters. I really appreciate them. Thank you, thank you. Make sure you guys are also subbed to me on YouTube. We are also live on YouTube as well. Hold on, guys. Let me go check on Hazel real quick. Sorry, oh, Hazel was screaming. Thank you, Meg. I appreciate it. Yeah, Deb, thank you again for the hot air balloon. I really appreciate it, dude. And the heart me as well. You're freaking awesome. Thank you guys for the follows. But make sure y'all do follow me on here. Sub to me on YouTube. We are growing that YouTube channel very, very quickly here. Every view matters. Every view counts. Also consider becoming a subscriber here on TikTok or a member on YouTube as well. I really, really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Got a lot of storm chasers in here as well. I appreciate you guys for hopping in. I appreciate my storm chasers out there. You guys are freaking awesome. Wednesday, yeah. So Lower Michigan and Thursday, Justin, for you. Wind and hail be your primary threats. You couldn't rule out an isolated tornado risk with that. We'll watch that setup tomorrow as it gets closer. All right, so SPC did not upgrade. They kept the risk zone the same today. They just shifted some things around a little bit. So once this updates, we'll look at it here in just a moment. We'll see what they changed. Yeah, a little bit more of a shift here. So this will go here in just a moment. Is there something for Indiana? No. We actually have a little bit of a general thunderstorm risk in this area today along that ridge, but this will probably be the last day of general thunderstorms. It's a very, very small chance. Very, very small chance today. So we will have overnight coverage tonight, guys. I promise I'll be on tonight. I was not able to get on last night. I had a huge headache. That and last night's event didn't even get going until almost 2 o'clock this morning. So we will have live coverage later on tonight. Stream probably won't start till about 6 or 7. If I need to get on earlier, I will. But we will have coverage tonight. So if you're in the Dakotas, if you are in Minnesota, Wisconsin, we'll have coverage for you guys. North Dakota, we're going to run over your risk zone here in a minute. Your risk zone just shrunk a little bit too, so... Georgia, you have a marginal risk today. We'll take a look at that real quick. I can actually scoot down there. Yeah, general thunderstorm. So, like I said, we have a tropical low that's kind of associated off the East Coast here. And what that's going to do is it's going to spiral in some moisture. Those convection bands will kind of move in. Mostly wind and hail, very small hail. Wind could exceed 60, 70 miles per hour. May even get a little complex of storms moving down here into Tallahassee and Jacksonville later on this evening here. That's actually through the overnight hours. So, but you can actually see that low. Look at that low cranking. I'm really actually shocked that NHC didn't introduce anything, because this is a little bit concerning. It's got a chance to maybe do something, actually. You guys can kind of see that vorticity as the reflectivity plays out here. Let me see if we actually get a low off this. I'm shocked we don't have at least a 20% or a 10%. It's a little bit concerning. Because you go and you look at the water temperatures here. Hold on a minute. Let's check here. Let's see. Yeah, you look at the water temperatures right now, and I mean we're pretty warm. We're a little bit above average. So, anytime you get a low moving into this area, you gotta watch. Even though NHG doesn't have anything highlighted, I'm gonna watch it just for the heck of it and see if we get anything out of it. That's actually really interesting that we don't have anything off that yet. I know a lot of the models don't have anything getting going with this, but oh, the icon does though. The icon was wrong on the last run, though, too. Interesting. I hate my odds when you keep talking about the catty corner in North Dakota. Yeah, it's always the catty corner. Like, legitimately, it's every time we get severe weather, it's in that little, like, it's like a triangle. It's weird. So here's our updated risk zone for today. Didn't change much. They just shrunk this slight risk down a little bit further to the south here. Still got a slight risk for damaging winds and large hail through this evening and tonight into the overnight hours. Minneapolis, Minnesota, you are now out of the slight risk. You're just in the marginal, and that marginal risk now goes all the way up to Madison, Wisconsin. So we'll be watching that. So Ashley, if you're in here, overnight storms for you. Wind threat. Yeah, they did remove the hatched wind threat. So that's interesting. Very, very interesting. So tornado risk is still there. Wind threat is at 15 and 5. So wind's now only up to 70. And then the hail threat is very, very small and concentrated. So depending on how this plays out tonight, we may or may not do coverage, because I was really expecting that coverage for the wind threat tonight. So we'll be on standby tonight for coverage. I'll still get on and do another update with you guys later on tonight. If we start to get tornado warnings and stuff, we'll hop on, but this may be another busted day today. We'll see what happens. A lot of these risk zones are on these mesoscale days come down to last minute features. So we'll see if anything gets going or not. I haven't seen any other. Yeah, there's not too much with this. Interesting. But yeah, as I was saying, we'll watch the tropics. We'll watch things, kind of see how things go here. The icon model was trying to spin this low up. Is the GFS do that? Yeah, GFS doesn't have anything either. Interesting. Well, y'all, it's a good thing. We love to see risk zones get downgraded. That's always a good thing. That makes me happy. All right, but yeah, once again, just looking at our water temps, our ocean heat context here for the surface. Waters in the Gulf are pretty warm. You got a little splotch of cooler water temps over here. Very, very warm waters off the East Coast, and this concerns me for any systems that kind of go this direction in the future if we get any. But yeah, very warm water temperatures all around here. The Caribbean is a lot colder than in last year at this time, which is also very interesting as well, because we've got a lot of wind shear, we've got a lot of storms down here, so it's keeping things, the water churning as well. So that is very true as well, Tough. The icon does, and you'll see a lot of people that post the icon, and they're like, oh, but Category 5 hurricanes coming. But this is the big story on why, hurricane season has not gotten itself together yet. This right here, a lot of dry air, a lot of Saharan dust. These tropical waves do not like that, and so, it's just kind of, I think, a matter of time before we get some type of wave that eventually spins up and starts to get going. And so if we can remove this dry air and Saharan dust, or shift it north and remove this here, we might have an open door for something to get going between the months of August, September, and October. But right now, not a lot going on. So the main story, guys, over the next couple of days is going to be the heat, and we talked about that a lot over the last couple of days here as well. And so I think the GFS is kind of now back to the ridging idea here. So we'll look at that as well. But taking a look at these temperatures, I do want to show. Let me pull the temperature map up. Yeah, just taking a look at these temperatures and where we're going to be seeing these extremely high temperatures at over the next couple of days here is going to be in that ridge. And like I said, 90s, triple digits, these are the air temperatures. You're seeing those whites pop up. I mean, it's just going to be relentless, guys. And this is going to be pretty much all the way through the end of the month here, even into the first week of August. And I do think, once again, the first week of August, we start to see that ridge really, really strengthen and move a little bit further to the northwest. So most people are going to be gross. It's going to be, like I said, humid. It's not going to be pleasant out there. So like I said, we'll get through it. Like I said, with that troughing pattern that comes in the first week of August here, we may start to see a little bit of a cool down. We'll see. It's never a slam dunk when you've got a ridge set up. Ridging doesn't really care about troughing unless that ridge can get broken down. So just some things to look at. How's weather in Washington, D.C., and Lancaster, PA, and Newport? That's a lot of areas. All of those areas, I can just say by looking at the northeast, you're going to be locked in as well in a ridge. So won't see too much of thunderstorm activity. Yeah, just hot and gross and humid. That's like I said, really going to be the most common theme for a lot of people. Just going to be gross. So interesting. North Carolina would be the same thing. Yeah. I'll pull up a map here. Hold on in just a second. You guys can see the above average, below average trends. Turn this off for just a second. Yeah, this is just some dangerous stuff right here. I mean, 70% chance of above average temps. This is your temperature map for the next 6 to 10 days. You can clearly see where the highest temperatures are going to be at. So it's gross, guys. It's just nasty. It's nasty, gross crap. Not fun. Not fun at all. Yeah, and then we go to the second week. Second week's not too bad. This is the 8 to 14 days, so that ridge does look to break down a little bit, but we see it expand. So also curious to see how that goes as we go into the month as well. We had a wild storm pop up into Nashville last night. Hey, if you can get a storm under the pattern that we're at, though, even though it might be a little bit crazy, take it, because you're going to want them. You're going to want the storms, promise. You're going to want them. I mean, we look at the precip trends for the next 6 to 10 days as well here, and it's pretty above average in the higher plains. The 8 to 14 day is going to be pretty dry. So we're not going to see a lot of storm coverage in a lot of these areas that are going to need it after the heat comes through. So yeah, it's gonna be gross, guys. And then, like I said, just looking right now, we got some storms moving up here into Minnesota. Got a little outflow boundary here getting pushed out, so we could see some new storms initiate. But as of right now, I don't think most of these storms are gonna fire off until way later on tonight. So yeah, storms initiate around 6 to 7 p.m. and then go upscale after midnight tonight. So we'll see what happens. I'm really shocked they actually moved the wind threat, because I think the wind threat needs to be placed up here. But once again, I'm not SBC, so should be frequently. I'm not sure on Pennsylvania. I'm not too sure. I don't know the answer to that one. Yeah, I'm not too sure on that. But did I tell you? I don't know. So, anybody else got some questions for me? This is, if you guys got any weather related questions, I'm just on here kind of chilling for a little bit. Feel free to ask. I'm an open book. I may not be a degreed meteorologist, guys, but I do know my shit. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, look who decides to join us. It's Laney. Why'd you look at that? How's Louisiana looking? Gonna be hot and humid and gross, and maybe a chance at a pop-up thunderstorm each day. You already got a couple down here, so we'll see. What's your opinion on the... Yeah, so let me actually mention that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Meg, which is interesting. Let me pull up our Enzo Cycle briefly here, and we can talk about that. Ooh, interesting. We have our. I don't think this was up. This was issued not too long ago. We're about to get our above average, below average precip chances. So this is for December. So you can actually see our winter pattern already setting back up. Let me get that pulled back up here. Yeah, so we can kind of see these are going to change. I don't think yeah, these aren't quite updated all the way through yet. I mean, these just updated, but you can actually see the La Nina pattern already set up here. So this is going to favor severe weather again during the winter months for the southeast corridor. So it's going to be basically a rinse and repeat from last year or from this year. That's February, March, and April. This was just issued on July 17th. So this is for February, March through April of next year. Then you look at like December, January, February, it's the same thing. You look at the precip too, where the precip's going to line up at again. Very, very identical. So severe weather would more than likely be in this corner here for the winter months again, which makes sense. This is what I typically was kind of waiting to see a little bit. And we'll talk more winter stuff when we get closer to like October, all that kind of stuff, as we start to see temperatures plunge a little bit more. So, let me look at our Enzo cycle. I'm curious now on the, where am I going? There it is. So Enzo neutral is most likely to the late summer, 56% chance. Therefore, La Nina conditions increase. Okay, let me. Yeah, so La Nina is already kind of starting to take a little bit of effect here potentially as well. We're starting to see those cooler below temperatures. For La Nina, you want to see colder. For El Nino, you want to see warmer. And this is the area that we look in. Currently right now, we are seeing those below temperatures. So not super, super cold. So it puts us in that neutral cycle, kind of warm slash negative. So it's neutral. But if we start to see those darker blues pop up, especially up here, this will be a very interesting thing to watch going into next year. Take a couple of look at more things. Okay, that's not very helpful. This is from earlier, so this is already from last year's. Okay. But yeah, this will update again, I think, this week. I'll have to double check, but this should update again. So we should have, but yeah, I mean, Enzo neutral, you're not going to get a lot other than wind shear and severe weather. We're in that pattern, so I don't see too much of an issue. How's the weekend looking for Beaumont, Texas? It's going to be hot, and it's going to be dry, and it's going to be humid. That's pretty much the only 3 words I can describe. Good morning, y'all coming in. We're going to be getting off stream here in just a few minutes, so I just want to go in here and do a little update with you guys. Talk with you guys. It's been a little bit. Say it's been a little bit. Come back up here and look at storms. Oh, man. I thought about doing a gaming stream today, guys, but I don't know. Because then we're not going to have stuff till later on. I thought about doing it. What will happen around 12 p.m., like lunchtime? Today or tonight? Oh, AM I meant. We'll have a line of storms coming through North Dakota and Minnesota. The exact timeline of it's still a little bit wonky. I'll be watching model updates this afternoon, and we'll kind of go from there. That's crazy tough. That's insane. That's insane. Doesn't surprise me, though. What does La Nina mean for the Southern Plains? A very active severe weather season during the spring and winter months. Most of the time, you're above average precip, mostly with above average warm temperatures. With cold air coming out of Canada, like we saw last year, it's a very similar pattern. Very similar. I wouldn't say it means colder winters. It can be in some spots, especially up toward the Midwest, the high plains areas. We'll definitely get our shots of cold air. I mean, we had a El Nino last year and we had cold air insanity. So, yeah, it can do both. I would say we'll dig more into that when we get closer to the winter months being here. It's just a little far out to kind of get into details because the Enzo cycle is still neutral. But yeah, Minnesota today. Chance of an isolated tornado, damaging winds up to 70 and some large hail up to 2 inches. Storms will be mostly after midnight for you guys. Will Minneapolis get bad storms? I mean, you're in a marginal risk for all modes of severe weather, so it's possible, but I wouldn't say it's going to be anything too crazy. Just have alerts on your phones when you go to bed tonight. So, New Mexico is going to be dry and muggy. Actually, not muggy. It'd be hot. It'd be dry heat. Sorry. I'm curious why they do a hatch area for winds, but not a risk. They took the hatch away, Justin, on the update a few minutes ago. So the only thing we have hatched is hail. It's a small little hatched corridor. Which makes sense because the models just aren't spitting out much. Models aren't spitting out much at all. I'm just interested to see when we're going to get the tropics going. Like, it's taking forever to get this thing going, which is good at the end of the day. Let me run over here and see if we've got any. It's like all these waves are disintegrating. Not doing much. I appreciate the likes, guys, the new follows, the new subs on YouTube. Y'all are awesome, as always. I'm going to wrap stream up here in just a few minutes, so just want to get on here, get a morning update to you guys, talk about things, kind of go from there. If anything changes, we'll be on standby for stream today. Knows Matt's tired and he don't know why. Summerville, South Carolina. I believe you guys are in a general thunderstorm today. It's interesting. We actually got a storm moving in here towards Myrtle. It's just like sitting there. It's not moving. Yeah, Summerville, South Carolina. Where are you guys at? I believe, yeah, you guys will have a marginal risk today for severe weather for wind. Wind up to 60 miles per hour. So, storms will be after this afternoon. Yeah, just be mindful of the flooding. It's definitely gonna be possible because you don't have any shear really moving the storms. It's around a low, so yeah, the flooding will be possible for sure. Just be weather aware. Just be mindful. But yeah, thank you guys for the follows. I appreciate it. What's the difference between a moderate risk for wind and a hatched area for winds? Honestly, it's just a higher confidence that it's going to happen. So the risk zones that go 1 to 5, the marginal to high risk, it's mostly for like higher confidence and like, hey, we're guaranteeing or we're knowing there's going to be that threat. So when we're going to get a big day, like a windbag event derecho show, they'll go moderate with it or enhanced with it for winds up to, 75 to 90. When they're really, really confident and they're not worried about air or something not happening, they'll issue higher risk zones. So I don't see the difference either too much, but it just depends on the confidence level. So, yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. But I think I'm going to wrap stream up, guys. If anything changes, I'll have a stream for you guys tonight and an update. If not really much happens and, things don't go the way they're going to go, we'll probably just wait till tomorrow. We'll just kind of see how things play out. I'd like to cover for you guys tonight. We'll just kind of be watching to see, like I said, what happens. Meg, thank you for hopping in. I appreciate it. You're the only one in here I saw other than Lainey. So I appreciate it. Makes me, you know, a little concerned. But anyways, other than that, guys, I appreciate y'all. Stay safe today. Be weather aware. I'll hopefully see you guys back here again in a little bit. Might pop on and do a game stream today. Other than that, be safe, be weather aware, y'all, and we'll see you guys in the next one.